Tempest Trials Plus, Iote's return is here to accompany the 30th anniversary and offers some amazing rewards. If you score the maximum 50,000 points, then you can earn up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. You can also earn 50 ephemera for divine codes, and 1 dark blessing from Mythic Brammy mod from last month. Our 2 sacred seals are Sturdy Stance and Speed Tactic. For the reward unit this time, it's Young Minerva or Mininerva, and she is one heck of a free unit. We'll talk about her a bunch in a little bit. You don't want to miss out on any of these rewards, so you better get farming. Our first sacred seal is Sturdy Stance 2. If the foe initiates combat, grants attack and defense +4 during combat. Very simple enemy phase stance skill. It's a decent skill for any physical damage tanks that want some extra attack on the side. For example, it would work nicely on a quick riposte user. You can also use it with its A skill version if you have a spare Altena, and Sturdy Stance 3 does exist. You can't really go wrong with these stance skills, it's up to your preference if you want to upgrade them. They only require 1 upgrade though, so that's a nice bonus to save some coins. Next we have Speed Tactic, which is a great buffing skill. At the start of the turn, grants +6 speed to allies within 2 spaces for 1 turn. It only grants those buffs if the number of that ally's movement type on the current team is 2 or less. Basically, you only can have 2 or less of each movement type if you want your allies to get the buff. If you bring 3 infantry units, then none of them will receive the +6 speed buff. Speed Tactic is our last tactic sacred seal to appear, and it's a popular tactic buff because 6 extra speed is very powerful. With the big 2 space buffing range, tactic buffs are awesome, and you only have to do some team prep beforehand to ensure they work. You can use Speed Tactic with any of the other tactic buffs in the C slot for double tactic builds, or Titania can run triple tactic buffs if you refine her Draconic Poaxe. I believe she gets res tactic. Personally, I do like the tactic buffs a lot, and they are definitely worth upgrading eventually. You want to be careful of the panic status, but the ability to hand out +6 buffs in such a large area to the whole team is very powerful.
I am Minerva, Princess of Macedon. As long as my brother's around, Macedon will be the greatest country on the continent.
Onto the reward unit, we have the younger version of Minerva to go along with the other kids on this banner. Mininerva is a pretty special reward unit, and since she does already come at 5 stars, I would say she's easily worth keeping. She's an Axe Flyer, which typically has not had the greatest free reward units, but that's mainly due to most of them being very similar. Mininerva social distances herself far away from any reward Axe Flyer with 40 HP, 36 attack, 37 speed, 35 defense, and 19 resistance. That is quite a standout stat line. 36 attack and 37 speed has to be one of the better offensive spreads for any reward unit, and we'll see later just how good 37 speed is on an Axe Flyer. Mininerva's 40 HP is okay, and her 35 defense is in a solid spot as well. All of this does come at the sacrifice of her resistance stat. 19 res isn't complete garbage, but is on the low side, and usually that would mean any decently fast major dragon would be able to 2-shot Minerva. However, unlike other Axe Flyers with low res, Mininerva is not slow, and that extra speed might just keep her alive. For her weapon, Mininerva actually has a unique weapon, the Dragoon axe. It's a 16-might axe that excels a special trigger, so at the very least, it's a stronger slang axe. At the start of combat, if the foe's HP equals 100%, grants attack, speed, defense, and res +4 during combat, and inflicts special cooldown charge -1 on the foe per attack. Dang, this is actually quite impressive. In fact, Dragoon Axe is the exact same as Percival's prized lance, and I think that's not a bad thing at all. Getting another +4 to all stats and inflicting guard on the enemy just for fighting a full health target is pretty easy to achieve. It's going to put Mininerva at over 40 speed, and with extra attack, she's going to be able to dish out some good damage. You also have to include the faster special activations, which means even more killing power. Add on the ability to stop the enemy from charging their specials, and you have a pretty annoying weapon. Having access to guard is so nice, and that can just save Minerva from any special reliant foes. Dragoon Axe is a fantastic weapon, and it just requires you to fight a full health foe. You won't be able to use Mininerva with any Savage Blow or AoE special users, although it's not like she totally becomes useless without the extra stats or guard. Her base stats are already impressive enough. Looking at the rest of Mininerva's base kit, she has Draconic Aura that will become a 2-turn special, so she can proc it in 1 round of combat if she doubles an enemy that can counterattack back. I don't think it's the best 3-turn cooldown special she can use, but hey, it fits the dragon motif. Minerva also has Flyer Formation 3, which allows her to move next to any flyer ally within 2 spaces. This is a pretty good skill, and since flyers don't actually have a ton of B skill options, it's nice to have if you're on a budget. This skill will allow Minerva to follow up on any teammate fights or just reposition around her team better. Now we have a surprise in the A slot. Mininerva actually comes with a unique A skill, and I'm not sure when was the last time this occurred for a Tempest Trials or Grand Hero battle unit. All I can think of is Arvis and Arden, and that was way back in year 1. Since then, I'm pretty sure they stopped doing it, and I'm not totally sure why. I feel like unique passive skills would be a neat thing to even if you don't hand out super busted ones. Anyway, Mininerva comes with the Dragoon shield. It neutralizes effective against flying bonuses. This is basically Iote's shield and will stop archers and Merrick from tearing through Minerva's HP. However, Dragoon's shield also grants Mininerva a flat +3 attack, speed, and defense. Now, this is not the most game-breaking skill in the world, in fact far from it, but hey, a stronger Iote shield with actually useful stats for a free unit is not something I'm going to complain about. It's almost like having Fury 3 minus the extra res and recoil damage. Dragoon's shield takes Mininerva up to 39 attack, 40 speed, and 38 defense. That's not bad at all. But then you have to account for Dragoon Axe also granting +4 to all stats. That's an extra +7 attack, speed, and defense with +4 res. For a reward unit who already has great base attack and speed, these 2 unique skills are pretty awesome. I'm impressed with Mininerva's already. For those looking to invest in Mininerva, she normally gets +1 HP and +1 defense with her first merge. The neutral nature bonus will then add +1 HP, speed, and defense. That's going to get her up to 42 HP, 38 speed, and 37 defense. Considering we have 2 skills bumping up speed and defense and more HP means more fighting, this is a solid bonus. Comparing Mininerva to other free reward Axe Fliers, you'll find a huge difference. Last year Har got a ton of flack, and while I don't personally think he is so terrible as some claim, you can't argue that he really doesn't do anything different than Jerome, and Michaelis has his refined Hot Declare available to him. This chart doesn't include the other slow Axe Fliers like Shirshey and Baruka, and overall it's kinda like the Lance Flyer group where you just have so many different units who can do similar things. Well, Mininerva is not going to have that issue. She sacrifices her HP stat, but her attack and defense are similar to the other Axe Fliers. All of her stat points go into speed, and it's not even close if you want a remotely fast Axe Flyer. Mininerva is the clear choice. Throw in a unique axe and a unique Iote shield A skill, and well, I think she will receive a much warmer welcome. Mininerva's speed is definitely an important trait because the entire Axe Flyer class type just doesn't offer many similar units. Spring Fur and Summer Innis are the only other really fast Axe Flyers, but they are both limited time units. Nier Zazura is a limited time unit and a dancer. Regular Minerva gets severely outgunned by her mini self, and she's not even in the normal summoning pool anymore. Then you have Camilla, who is easy to obtain, but her attack and speed are just so far behind Mininerva. For many players, this Young Minerva is gonna be their first actually fast Axe Flyer, and that's a neat thing. The best part is that she doesn't just have to depend on her base stats alone. For builds, I think it's totally fine to keep both the Dragoon Axe and the Dragoon Shield. With both of them active, that's an extra +7 attack, speed, and defense with +4 resistance. That would get Mininerva up to 59 attack, 44 speed, 42 defense, and 23 resistance just off of 2 skills. Imagine those stats after +10 merges and woo. While it's disappointing that we can't run Dragoon Shield with distant counter, I would say being able to not get destroyed by arrows while still has its uses, and since it does grant extra stats, it's totally fine to keep if you aren't going to heavily invest in Minerva. I would say she doesn't need much changing anyway, since Flyer Formation is also a good skill, and you can tack on a Sacred Seal like Swift Sparrow. For specials, while Draconic Aura is nice thematically, I do believe Bonfire just out-damages it anyway. You could also run Luna if you're worried about 40 to 50 defense enemies, which is a valid concern these days to be fair. For C-skills, you have a bunch of options. You can steal Spring Bartre's odd attack wave, Speed Smoke is nice to ensure Mininerva wins those speed battles, and any Flyer Emblem buff works too. For other Sacred Seals, we can utilize the new Sturdy Stance, or something like Brazen Attack and Defense would be great since Minerva is going to be able to brawl a ton with physical damage foes. For B skills, if you aren't going to use Flyer Formation, then something simple like Renewal would also work. Breakers are nice, you got Vantage, and even good old Wings of Mercy. As a fast physical damage fighter who accelerates specials and has guard to stop enemy specials, Mininerva should be able to avoid taking a lot of unnecessary damage. While she can definitely go all in on attack and speed, I do think some defensive abilities aren't bad either. For some example defensive skills, Minerva can stay close to her teammates with Bonds, Oaths, and Link skills. The Dragoon Axe and Shield work for either phase, so a Bond Sacred Seal would offer a lot of stats and could work with Flyer Formation as well. If you can get a spare Mini Marth, you can steal his Speed and Defense Oath C skill to get Minerva some self buffs. The Link buffs also offer team support with self buffing capabilities, and you can of course mix and match any of these variants together. Investing in extra resistance isn't the worst idea, even though it's Mininerva's weakest stat. You can use seals like Swift Stance or Close Defense to handle dragons. If you want extra speed, there is Steady Posture, and the 3rd tier version can offer Guard in case Mininerva isn't fighting a full health target. Chill Speed also isn't bad since again, not a lot of B skills for flyers anyway. If you want to stick close with teammates, Joint Drive Attack is great, and Flyer Guidance is useful to be the main anchor for a Flyer Emblem team. You also got solo skills if you want Mininerva to be alone, but sadly she can't use the Rouse, Self Buff, and C skills. If you want Sustain, Aether is on a 4 cooldown thanks to Dragoon Axe, and Mystic Boost would be an interesting option to stay healthy further. Give Mininerva some extra defense and res buffs, and I do think she will be able to fight multiple times pretty easily. Last, we have what I imagine most players are going to go for, and it makes sense. We are being handed a pretty fast Axe Flyer, so it would be a shame not to utilize those offensive stats, plus an Axe that accelerates specials. Despite not having recoil damage, I think it's completely fun to take the Dragoon Shield with Desperation and Brazen Tag and Speed. Adding another +7 tag and speed with Desperation to avoid counterattacks is a ton of fun, and Mininerva should be able to take any solid hit to fall into Desperation range. I would suggest Attack Smoke for added protection just in case. As we mentioned, Aether is a great special for Minerva, and if you add on Sturdy or Mirror Impact, we can further improve her sturdiness. Adding Race into the team would also be a great idea. Last, we can't talk about a fast unit with a slang weapon and not discuss Gale Force. Mininerva should be a pretty good Gale Force user, considering she can proc it in 2 attacks thanks to faster specials, and both Dragoon Axe and her shield add +7 attack to use for Heavy Blade. You can of course swap to something more potent like Swift Sparrow 3 if you want even more damage. Desperation would work nicely here as well. Since Mininerva has a unique weapon, and a pretty good one at that, we didn't talk about using other inheritable weapons. However, she would be a prime Fire Sweep Axe user if you were looking for one but couldn't get Spring Fur or Summer Innis. Maybe if the weapon was easier to get, you could put together a full attack and speed set with the Fire Sweep Axe, and that would be something to try out in the future. Honestly, this is just a solid Tempest Trials, and it's been tough to beat other ones from this year since we've had Swift Sparrow and Deathblow Sacred Seals, plus Itsuki. Sturdy Stance and Speed Tactic are both great seals. If you like those skill chains, you know what to expect. As for Mininerva, can't really complain about anything. She is a very good free Axe Flyer. With her high attack and speed, she has no direct competition from any other free-to-play Axe units, including low rarity summonable ones. She even comes with a unique weapon and a unique A skill, which hasn't happened in a long time for a reward unit. Both of those are very usable on a budget and can work fine if you do intend to +10 her. Speaking of which, it seems like Mininerva will be another popular heroic grail unit, and for good reason. She's not doing anything we haven't seen before, but she is a solid unit. I do think she is one of those units to watch out for as we get more seals and more skills. I'm praying that this year we get more skills for flyers because it's just so barren. Something like the low skills would be awesome. Also, since 2020 seems to be the year of the world falling apart, why not go out with a bang? If we can get a Deathblow seal, maybe we can finally get that distant counter seal. Man, if that happens, Dragoon Shield goes up in value so much. Anyways, let me know what you think about this Tempest Trials and Mininerva. Share any build ideas you plan to give her with everyone in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.